right, low key, sometimes I'm like, I understand racism. If I control people,
You say you
resources,
understand it.
here's why. Imagine, and this is something crazy to try to imagine. I'm putting this hypothetical out there, but imagine being a slave owner. You have all the property, you have all the money, you own the people, and you catch your wife out there getting banged voluntarily by a dude who has absolutely nothing, not including freedom.
Feelings not included, ayy. Let's get into it, ayy. Life, love, and real debate. We setting records straight. What y'all wanna hear today? We coming out the gate. You know how we do it.
Right.
She said, I'm going to give you my opinion on survival mode. And she said, by the way, you're not being nice. I said, I'm done. I'm just not sugarcoating, right? I said, I'm not sugarcoating it. That's why it doesn't appear that I'm not being nice.
Right.
Said, oh, no, you don't do that. Don't do the sugarcoat stuff. Y'all just want to say that when she should mention some podcast shit or something. But anyway, long story short, so we're having a conversation and I'm explaining to her, right, that survival mode is what every human is in. Now, granted, some humans are in like my wife and I are a couple, but we still got to do all the same shit. Sometimes it's just not easy because you got two people, because you got twice as much shit.
Yeah.
Right? You got difference of opinions on, but we just go around and around, and she's trying to tell me why I'm wrong, and about the way I word it. She said the last line of all my posts is really where the problem comes in, and it's off-putting. I'm like, the last line of my post is where I take away any ability for somebody to pretend this woe is me shit. On most of my posts, my last line is going to be like, hey, this is what it means to me, or this is what I see. Like when I shared the one about the girls that are like, I'm 30 and I've never been on a romantic, a romantic Valentine's Day. And I always start with, I shared it, my last line is, but none of y'all are virgins. So what are you doing?
Woo,
Right? They don't
man.
like that because I'm like, why are you? So that was a topic we discussed as well. I'm like, listen, men and women, I'm not the body count dude. That's just not who I am, right? I don't trip. Body quantity doesn't matter as much as quality. You can have sex with one person. If he was a piece of shit bum, you off my radar. I could never fuck with you, right? If you had sex with 15, 20 motherfuckers and they was all top tier and you thought you was going somewhere, we could discuss something possible, right? It's who it is more than what it is. Because 1, 2, 3 bums, you may as well have 3,000 motherfuckers you slept with. But so we're having a conversation, and I'm like, okay, so my perspective, I'm not a body count dude. I said, but other men are. And that matters because you're dating other men, not me, right? The other men thing is for y'all, right? I'm taking.
Right.
So my perspective really doesn't matter. I said, but here's why it matters. I said, a lot of women will have multiple children by multiple men, then find a dude who's decent, and he says, hey, you know what? I want my own kids. You're like, nah, I ain't having no more, but you got to take care of mine and somebody else's.
That's crazy. And that's crazy.
And that's crazy. But they don't see that. Right. And I do have a couple chicks on my Facebook that are realists, right? And of course they're gonna get called pick-me's and all the other shit.
And that eats me up too. Why every time somebody advocate for anything outside of when they hold their peers accountable, now they pick me's.
But here's the crazy part. Everybody wants to be picked if you want to be in a relationship.
Right.
Every single person wants to be picked over their competition.
Right.
Me, as a man, any woman, if I'm dating, I'm trying to date somebody, I want to be picked.
Absolutely.
You absolutely do want to be picked.
Right.
So we talking, and she's like, well, here's what women mean. She said, in a traditional sense, men, you should protect, provide. And I stopped. I said, use tradition. I'm a very traditional man. I'm glad you used that. Traditionally, men didn't have to deal with other people's kids. So you can't, she has no kids by nobody. I want to give her credit.
Oh, this chick don't?
No, she has no kids by nobody.
Okay.
Right? So I'm like, traditionally, men wanted their own families. Right? And so you throw tradition out the window when you try to say, well, I want somebody traditional, and you don't meet the traditional standard.
Yeah.
Right now, and I told her, I said, you are an exception. Right? Now, I'm going to also add to it, because I asked her, and she tried to bullshit. I said, do you want to be a wife? Oh, you're not finna do me like that. I said, what you mean?
What does that mean?
You don't know what I've been through. You don't know all the shit. And I know she's been through some trauma, right? And I respect that, because I've known her for years, and I know what the trauma is. So I said, no. When she got done, I let her go. So when she got done, I said, I don't want to know if you wanted to be a wife 15 years ago. In 2024, do you want to be a wife? She avoided the fuck out that answer. Right? Because I told her, I said, you have to be able to answer that question if you're dating somebody. Because she's like, I ain't never struggled to get a date. And I told her flat out, no woman should ever struggle to get a date, because almost every man wants to fuck.
Exactly.
And that's how we do it. We take you out and try to get it. So you should never have a date problem. I said, but what you should have is somebody who wants to stop you from dating somebody else and will do whatever's necessary. Right? That's the difference. So she said, I was dating somebody, and And he said I was intimidating, and I'm like, "Are you a real man?" And I stopped her. I said, "See, here's the problem, right?" I said, "I understand what a man means when he says to a woman she's intimidating, right?" And maybe women misunderstand the intimidation part because, and I had a conversation with my wife. She said, "Well, I think women take that as a man is scared." I said, "He absolutely is scared because me and you, Despo, we can disagree all day. If we disagree too far, we fight. I can't fight her. So if she's talking shit to me, I'm fearful of what I'm going to do eventually,
Right. Right.
right? So I don't want to deal with it." I
Yeah.
said, "Y'all don't understand that a man doesn't want to deal with a difficult woman." And this is going to go into the racial aspect here in a second because it's not all women that are difficult. We have a subset of our culture that is very fucking difficult to deal with, very aggressive. And she even said the independent shit hurt a lot of women, and I was happy she said that because it did, right? But there's a subset of our culture that is our female culture and male as well. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend we don't have some
Yeah,
aggressive
bro.
ass men,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? We avoid them motherfuckers because they problematic,
Right.
right? We know to avoid them, right? But
Right.
that's never a problem.
Right.
But when we avoid the female side, it's an issue. But no man wants to go through all that shit and then try to come home to the worst shit in the world, right? Because that's where you're supposed to be safe. So I said to her, I said, you know, it's y'all act like men don't have to carry that shit too. And no man should have to put the entire world on his back, your entire world on his back, to find out if he likes you. You are
Facts.
not his responsibility.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, um, from a just it's so crazy, bro, because there's so much to unpack with that fucking conversation. But I
It's
was
but
just like,
it's the same conversation though. I think we could have the other conversation as well because it goes hand in hand because it is a cultural thing. I think that we just are programmed to reduce it to race, from a skin tone aspect. But the fact of the matter is, like, cultures are different, and they or your appearance is part of that. It just we shouldn't reduce the conversation to that. You shouldn't, base your overall analysis of what the potential outcome of a relationship would be based solely on the color of someone's skin, right? But
100%.
there are cultural nuances that are specific to people with certain tones of skin, right? Like it just is. We just don't know. We just haven't learned how to have that conversation yet as a society. But so when you talk about this whole survival mode thing, it's I had commented on that, and I was just like, that sounds like you want somebody to compensate
Yeah,
for your misfortune, and some of which is your own fault. You know what I'm saying? But I shouldn't have any responsibility outside of being able to protect you, respect you, and appeal to you. If I'm trying to court you, right? I shouldn't be responsible for the unpacked baggage that you come with, and nor should you me. You know what
right.
I'm saying? Like I know that we all are a product of our experiences, but we still are we should be required to be responsible adults as it relates to our past experiences, right? And know how to know ourselves enough to know when we are ready to move forward into another relationship, right? So when those similar behaviors pop up, you don't treat that person like the other individual that engaged in that behavior with you because there are differences in what the behaviors are maintained by.
Uh,
So
with you.
I just think that we just don't know how to have these conversations, and then we have them on social media through text, and so
Right.
it's a lot of context, and then it's easier for people to speak their mind when they don't have to actually articulate it verbally, right? It's easier for them to do it. But when you are met with an individual who is confident in where they stand and knows and understands what they're talking about, then they get angry, and it's not just women. I mean,
No
it's
doubt.
men as well. But I mean, for the sake of this conversation, they get angry or they deflect, and a lot of projection, because I don't think a lot of them realize how appalling their commentary is when they like those type of statements. Like it's appalling for
It,
for us to have to, I guess, adapt to that. It's weird to me.
and that you were 100% on point, bro. And I'm gonna note that because that was just you was 100% on that one. And it's crazy because like I think there is a difference between, like you said, there's cultural differences, right? And I think the problem today is we all have access to all cultures for the most part. So if the cultural difference creates problems, a lot of dudes are running away, right? And my problem with my social media is I was very, very pro woman for, I'm gonna say, up until about 2022, when I sat back and said, maybe it ain't just all dudes that's wrong.
Was
And
that solely based on your experience with your relationship? Why you were pro women?
so
Or
here's why, right? Yes, I'm gonna say it was my experience, my relationship, and my woman, and my experience with women across the board, right?
okay,
Because I've had dudes tell me, man, this woman's not, submissive and not this. And the moment I'm around them, they're super submissive, right? And I still believe that a woman will submit and be submissive to a man who she just feels can handle the shit, right? Now,
hmm
but they overlook a lot of men that can handle it because they don't get that feeling. But so my perspective was, I've never had the experience of walking into, well, I shouldn't say never. Had very few instances of walking into a room and having an argumentative woman, no matter whose woman it was, right? No matter what the topic, it was always respectful and clean, and I didn't catch the shit talking or a lot of that shit, with the exception of the young lady that I was talking about on the call. She
I
always
guess
had a,
you've been really fortunate,
well, and I have been, right? So I really have been, but I think it's because also the type of women I put myself around, right?
right? Yeah,
And
yeah.
that plays a part. So I used to tell my guys and men in general, if you're not experiencing what I'm experiencing, change the people you're around. Because if
hmm
I probably went and sat where you're at, I would probably experience that shit too. It's not that it's unlikely to happen here. It's more likely to happen in certain scenarios and less likely to happen in other ones. You got to put yourself in a scenario that best benefits you in your whole life,
hmm
right? It doesn't, not just around the opposite sex, but in general. So me personally, I never had the experience. Now, a part of that too, even on social media, I didn't catch a lot because I wasn't big on I'm gonna say accountability for women, because I felt like the man is more powerful, right? So we carry more responsibility. Um,
Okay.
but as I started digging into social media and started seeing how some of these women were carrying themselves and this, that, and the other. Now, I will say I've always been, hey, don't date a chick that has kids if you don't have them, and vice versa on the other side, because you're creating an environment that's not going to be conducive to your long-term success. Because number one, you became a parent at whatever age those kids are, right? I was an
hmm
early parent, but all my kids
Right,
start off as newborns, right? That's when I
right,
met them, right?
right.
So I got to grow with them. I can imagine walking into a scenario where kids are already 6, 7, 8, 18, 15, whatever, because you got to adapt to whatever's going on. Um, but I was still more, hey, if this is the problem, you as a man, you have to do better. Right? My do better doesn't necessarily mean you have to make more money. You have to do it. You have to put yourself in a position where things are better for you. Now that might
hmm
be a better job, that might be more education,
hmm
but it's more likely a better set of people that you're putting yourself around.
Okay. Let me ask you something. Do you equate submissiveness with uh, being agreeable?
No, no. You don't agree with something just because that's what I tell. Okay, so somebody asked me that before. I said my wife trusts me to make the right decisions for her future. She's gonna follow me.
Yeah.
But if I went today and told my wife, "Hey, I'm about to quit what I'm doing and start rapping," she ain't going for that shit,
No,
right?
no, and that's what I mean. I'm saying like
For me,
you the word you used was trust, and I'm saying a lot of that's what it comes for me. I haven't dealt with a lot of the shrewdness, but just not having um, a lot of women don't trust enough to be agreeable. That's what I mean when I say be
okay.
agreeable. You know
So
what I mean? Like to trust leadership.
right. So I think, and here's what I believe and why I believe my situation is different. Right. I believe because the women I meet, most of the women know me in some form or fashion, whether it's social media, through friends, whatever. I think I inherently get trust because they see I'm already doing something long term. And in their mind, it equates to, hey, if he's doing this with her for this many years, he's got to be
Right,
able to, right.
right. That's
So
yeah,
that's something I learned in the last,
yeah.
I'd say, year or so, right? I'm like, okay, maybe this is what it is. Because I've never walked into a situation that way. But I also understand a woman not trusting. So I had a conversation with my buddy, right? We were out one night, me, him, my wife, and a couple chicks. He was trying to get at one of them, right? Full intent to smash. He's playing it like he's trying to date her. Like he wants to take her out and say, oh, it didn't work. He's like, oh, that bitch. I said, bro, but you mad because she didn't fall for your bullshit. So
hmm
I understand a lot of women, you have to put up a brick wall because there's a lot of dudes out here that'll take advantage of the situation. So I think from that perspective, I think women have. We tell them, hey, be careful who you give your body to.
But is that gender specific though? I don't think that's gender specific. I think because I even look back, for myself, a lot of some of the women that I gave access to just didn't deserve it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Our natures are different, but I'm saying that I just think that I don't. When we only talk about it from a gender specific perspective,
So
meaning that women are at more risk of giving access to the wrong person than men are. And I think that no, it's just society, depicts men as, sexually irresponsible, which, some of
so
us
so
are, but,
let me interject for just a second because you touched on a point where I think we slightly disagree. And this is what I said to the chick I was on the phone with. I said, along the body count conversation, I'm not a big body count dude. I'm a body quality dude, right? But women carry more risks, right? We both carry the same amount of risk for STIs, STDs, whatever you want to call them. But let's say everything is great, and you plan on being with this woman forever, and she gets pregnant, she has that baby, she can die from that birth. There's all these complications from the time she gets pregnant till the baby's born, right? That's risky. I can decide to smash her, get her pregnant and dip, and that's gonna raise a kid on her own. So I think the risks are definitely different on who we give our body to. Our biggest issue, literally, is connecting with somebody and creating a child or catching something, right? There's no
yeah,
very few of us.
I think you kind of speaking from once again, like your experience though, because I mean, for me, I literally am connected directly with someone with a man who is now raising his children and the mother just cut out.
Right,
You
I
know
was
what I
gonna say
mean?
that, right?
Right.
Because that
So
happens. It's a small percentage, though, right?
not really though. I know quite a bit.
I know them too.
Some of
I'm
the
just saying,
work that I do is mostly men dealing with the system and trying to get their kids from which after which the mother failed them. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So
right.
but
Right, okay. So I'll give you that, right? And this goes back to what we were talking about previously in a previous segment, right, where we talked about the man controlling the seed, right? I
hmm
again because I feel men are more powerful in this society, right?
hmm
We control our seed and where we go. I don't subscribe to women are the gatekeepers of sex. I've never subscribed to that, right? Because no woman can have sex with me that I don't want to have sex with, short of SA, right, and vice versa, right? It has to be mutual. But no woman can get my seed without me giving it to her. I got the option to pull out. I got the option to you know what I'm saying, put a condom on, not have sex, all those different things that I think I control, right? So I do look at it differently from that aspect of our risks being a lot less because there's really little risk for a woman to make me do something to her, right? Like she can't make me have sex, even physically, short of having a pistol, right, or some kind of weapon. I'm in control, right? So that's just the way I look at things. I'm open to learning and looking at some things differently, right? As I continue down this path, I'm like, okay, maybe things are a little bit different. And again, I will say a lot of the things I've experienced have been from my perspective. Because that's all I got, bro. I can't sit here and pretend I can see things through your eyes or somebody else's. I look at
yeah,
it through my perspective.
I think and obviously I don't know your experience more than you do, obviously, right? But just my understanding on life and what my experience in life has shown me is that when men are when they are committed or when they're married, they become more desirable,
100%.
right?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
100%.
saying? So for you, it is going to be a lot of them trying to, gain access that you are just not really, you're not willing to give based on everything else you got going on, right?
Hmm.
A lot, on the other side though, you have those of us who did not have that same path, right? So generally men are the ones pursuing that aspect just generally, right? Not all the time, but I'm saying this doesn't negate the fact that we should be more responsible socially. But I just think that once again, your experience is slightly unique. You're not like a unicorn or nothing like that, but you are not in the majority as it
Right,
relates to that experience in life where you committed early and stay committed and it worked. You know what
right,
I'm
right,
saying?
right, right. I'm with you.
So and it's still working.
Hmm.
So I understand your perspective in a lot of ways, and I don't disagree. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I just think that that's the important part about every conversation that we all need to remember is that when we speak, we are speaking specifically to our experience
Right.
and loosely based on other experiences,
Mhm.
because all of it can be true to a certain extent, and there are exceptions. You know what I'm saying? But I agree 100% that we should carry that mindset. That men should carry that mindset of like we carry the seed. We can control the narrative more than we put on, like to take responsibility for it,
Mhm.
because we find ourselves in situations where when women gain the control, then they may mismanage it, right? Then we become victims without realizing that we gave our power away when we made
Absolutely.
that decision. So I agree with you there 100%.
Yeah, and and I think again, I look at it. I will always look at everything from my perspective, but I do try to see others, right? But I also see the issues, right? Like I go, I'll go back to one of my homies. We had a conversation, and he was like, he said some crazy shit. And when I thought about it, I'm like, I corrected him because he said, "Bro, every chick I ever fucked with is either a single parent or still single. None of them ever got married." I said, "Bro, you a single parent, you ain't never been married, right? You can't focus on the chicks you dated and say how bad they are, and you in the exact same situation, right?" And so we went round and right. He's like, "Yeah, but it's different. I'm a man." I'm like, "Nah, it's different because you're a man, yes, but the results are the same."
Yeah, the only difference is that you are a man.
Right, that's the only difference, right?
Yeah.
I said the difference between is you picked every one of them, right? And now a few of them are married. And when I said something to him about 6 months ago, I'm like, "Hey, bro, you know, a couple of them got married since then." "Oh yeah, but that's not the right dude." I said, "Yeah, but nonetheless, that wasn't the statement,
Right,
right?"
right, right.
So, but looking at this picture from a high level, I just look at it and I say, when I hear somebody says, "Okay, yeah, your situation is different," I typically look and say, "Okay, how would I have responded, performed, behaved differently in all the situations I'm aware of that that person is telling me about?" Right? Because I always look at the situation and think, what is the long term goal? Right? Because long term is going to impact you. Your short term might impact your long term, right? So
Yeah.
you got to make decisions, and this is me across the board, men and women. You got to make decisions that has your best long term interest, right? And I was trying to
Yeah.
explain to old girl. I said, and again, she has no kids, so she's in a whole different age group.
Is there a reason why, or is it just by
Well,
chance, or
so she
she?
said she didn't want to. She either wasn't ready or didn't find anybody she wanted to procreate with. She's unmarried, right?
Okay. How
I
old is
gotta
she now?
respect that, right? Huh?
How old is she now?
Now she's in her 40s now, so that creates a whole new problem we didn't get a chance to get to. Because if a
Okay.
man wants to have a child with her and raise a family, it's a little more difficult from a safety perspective, right?
Right. So what is her ultimate position? What's her overall position?
I don't know because when I said, "Do you want to be a wife?" the conversation went nuts. We went
What,
around everything but the answer, right?
like she couldn't tell you whether or not she wanted
So
to be a wife.
she went back to some things that her past, which respectfully I understood. Right, there was some trauma, major trauma, and then she wasn't ready, and she got herself together, and this, that, and the other. She has a great education, she got a great career, she's intelligent, right? But now
On
she's like,
paper, she looked good on paper,
so,
but
and then she said, "Well, I don't have a problem dating. I never have a problem dating." I said, "Listen, that's not. No woman should ever have a problem dating, because there's." I told her flat out, "I'm gonna give you the truth. Men want to have sex. We want to fuck. That's so you. Not, no woman should ever have a problem dating because that's how we get to you, right?" I said, "But what you should have is a man who wants you to not date anyone else ever again. And if you don't come across that, that becomes a problem. If you want to be a wife, if you don't, it's not a big deal."
okay. So right there, and if you think socially, why is that the tone right now? Like there's a lot of it doesn't seem like any of us want to be married. Like more so, I used to be like, traditionally women want to be married and men traditionally, kind of, I guess, bullshitted for a while, right?
Mhm.
But now it just seems like, women where they're acting like they don't want to be. What's that about?
So I'll give you my perspective because that's all I can give you, right? I don't believe men ever wanted to get married. I did not
Okay.
dream of as a young boy growing up
Right.
and having a wedding.
Right.
It
Me either.
never crossed my mind.
Me either.
I don't know a man, a straight man that had that dream of a big beautiful wedding, right? And I say that, and that's not a knock on the community because I support him 100%. Like I know we might not me and you, but me and some people disagree on that one. And we'll go. That's a different conversation for a different day.
Right.
I think it's a self defense mechanism for women today, right?
You said- Okay.
I'm all for a woman saying, "Hey, I don't want to be a wife. I don't want to be a mother." That's your right, 100%. But every time I see, I don't want a man. I'm happy single. It's always, but if I meet somebody that's a listen, I'm happy as a business owner. I don't care who offers me a job. It's not going to change me because I'm happy what I'm doing.
Right.
Right? I had a former employer slash customer offer me a job at about 160,000 a year. It's if you want it, it's yours. No questions asked. You can do what you want with your business. You got to scale it down at some point, sell it. It wasn't a discussion for me. Right? And I'm talking 5 weeks vacation. It would have made my life easier. It been, it made some adjustments financially, would have made my life easier because all my time, it would have been 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, a couple weekends here and there, right? Owning a business is a difficult fucking thing to do.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I'm okay with it. So when I hear somebody says, "I'm single, I'm happy, I'm content, I don't want to change it," but if I meet somebody, then it's false. Or if I see if somebody, you want me to be feminine, take me out of my survival mode. That's you don't want to be single. Most of us naturally don't, right?
That's what I would say.
Most of us naturally don't want to be single. There's always exceptions, right? That people don't want kids. We've got some female friends who are like, "Hey, I never want kids," and that's okay. That even the chick I know that never wanted kids is married to her dude. They living a great life with no children. He didn't want kids either. She didn't want. They made great. I
Okay.
think I think it's a self defense mechanism, right? It's like, have you ever? I was guilty of this before. When I was obese as shit with no muscle tone, I'm like, I'm cool being fat. I wasn't, right? But that's what I said to myself out loud, so I didn't feel bad about it, right? It took me going to another country where the dudes were like, "Hey man, why do you look like you have a baby in your belly?" with no intent of making me feel good or bad. That made
Mhm.
me realize, "See, I'm doing too much." You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? That and the combination of doctors. But we
Mhm.
defend ourselves with statements to make it seem like we don't want what we have. Right. And I seen something one dude said. He said, "Man, next time you see a woman who says Lizzo is beautiful, tell her you look just like her and watch how her attitude changes." Right? Because she don't necessarily believe Lizzo is beautiful. And if you tell her you look just like her, that's when you're gonna get her real thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a self-defense mechanism. It built into all humans, bro. It's not specific to any gender.
So you dissonance is what you think it is.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
It's
So
it's
social dissonance. Is that a term? Social dissonance right now?
it is now. If it don't exist, we made it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know that I know it's social media, so I don't take a lot of it serious, right? But it is a reflection of society to a certain extent, and I don't know. It's I guess it's interesting to say the least, but I see a lot of women that's from my generation, right, that are, I would say, acting out, whether it be
Mhm.
verbally or even, physically on social media, where the statements they make, the way they present themselves, they're projecting, I believe, their trauma.
Mhm.
But you can't approach them in that way. But it's like, no, what way can you approach them with that conversation without them becoming, I don't know, maybe disrespectful? You know what I'm saying? And then there's the disconnect at that point.
So my answer to that is you don't approach them, you avoid them, right? This is what I tell my homies, bro. You can't save everybody. It is not
Right.
it is not
Right.
conducive to your well-being to get into a trauma-filled situation to try and meet someone, right?
Yeah,
I'm
I guess
I'm
I'm talking from the perspective of it's social media, and and that's what it's supposed to be for, right? Just
so
conversing.
so what I've learned on social media is if you talk about something positive and you talk about something uplifting and up and up, something that's just positive in general, you don't get a lot of interaction, right? Depending on the crowd you in, right? Let me clarify that, right? My social media friends are people I selected, right? So that's my choice. I can post a positive post and tell you, hey, listen, it feels great to be loved. It's not going to be nearly as interactive as if I say, hey, you can be a better person if you did this, right? Because then everybody feels attacked and they feel the desire to defend themselves.
Yeah,
But here's the crazy part.
you
I'm
got
old,
people calling you.
right? They call on my
That's
phone, right?
crazy. That's
I'm
crazy.
old, so in my generation, I got mad when you told a lie on me. Now they get mad when you tell the truth,
Facts.
right? And I don't think people realize that they get mad now when you tell the truth, not when you tell a lie. If I made a post that said everybody that drive a blue Chevy, blah, 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 nobody cares, right? Because it don't apply to them. But if I make a post that applies to them, I don't have to put a name on it or a gender or anything. People are going to come be a victim because we want to be victims now more than ever.
Why?
Because victims get mental support, fake social media support.
Right. It gets
And
reinforced.
it's not even to make them. I don't think it's to make them feel better. It's to make them look better. We care too much about what other people think, right? Like I saw something recently and it freaked me out or flipped me out, right? So I had to go to my wife. I'm like, is this real for women? So I saw 3 or 4 of my female friends post. If I share this and I like your post and I comment on your post and you don't do the same to mine, I'm unfriending you. I don't care if you look at my shit, right? I have no likes and shares and comments carry no currency with me. And so a couple minutes ago when I said if I do something positive it has a few and I do something negative it has a bunch, that's not because I care about it. I'm just telling you
No.
what it is.
Right.
Right. But I think for people today, social media is such a big deal to them that if you don't like and comment on their stuff and they do yours, they're only doing it for you so you can do it back to them is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
I can't tell. I comment on maybe 5 or 6 people's stuff, right, on Facebook. I look at some stuff. I might throw a like here and there. It ain't because I don't like it. I'm just scrolling, right? I'm going to comment if I want to interact. I hate the notifications because I get too many, right? So if I comment on something or like something that's too hot of a topic, I'm going to wake up with a bunch of notifications. I don't want to go through all that. So sometimes I just look at, oh, that's cool, right? But I think we today, we want to be victims because victims get attention. So we victimize ourselves in situations. If you go to my post, nobody had to comment at all, and I wouldn't know nobody was going through survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
They came to my post I asked them to explain it. I didn't ask them to tell me their story. I just asked what survival mode meant.
Right.
Because to me, it means pretty much adult life. Bills, kids, work, home, family,
Yeah.
all the shit.
Whenever,
And
yeah.
after all the shit they said, it still meant the same shit.
Yeah, but that's what Kevin Samuels was saying, that y'all come to me to hear what you don't want to hear, allegedly, right?
Right?
So
They wanted to be victims.
and that's what I think. That's what I think the whole premise of racism is for so-called black people is like at this point, it's choosing to be victims because it's like that seems to be the only time where we act like we're going to align is when we are told that there's been some kind of injustice to someone who's of a similar hue, right? And then we will align in that way. But those of us who choose to think outside of that and come from a place of accountability, then we tend to be the ones that are, I guess, for lack of better words, ostracized or or called crazy or be being mean or being unreasonable or you know what I'm saying. But it's like I cannot. I need accountability for me to function. I need to know that the people around me are going to be accountable and hold me accountable, and vice versa. I need that for me to be able to function. So I don't quite understand what this whole victimhood mentality is about. Even when it comes to women, it's like if you ask a woman to explain to tell her whole life, right? Not all women, I'm just saying that the type of women that
We're generalizing.
right? Yeah, I could point out from the beginning to the end of the story several opportunities for them to correct a behavior that would have allowed them to avoid all this misfortune. Mm-hmm. They cannot see it. They refuse to see it.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna let you have that one because I was about to disagree, but you said they refuse to see it.
Yeah,
Right.
But interestingly enough, if it comes from a man that they hold in high regard, then they'll listen. I've seen it.
100%. I'm with you. So
I've had people come to me. I've had people come to me or women tell me something, right, that they realized thanks to someone else, and I've told them the same thing. And because I was a little more direct or my timing may have been off or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, some of them don't even recall that I even said it.
I was gonna say, it's not that timing was bad or the way you said it. It's they don't see you and they didn't see you for whatever reason. This is not a knock on you. It's their view. They didn't see you like we said in a manner, like I said, a lot of women, I've never experienced the lack of submissiveness because they look at me and say, okay, if he's done this with a woman, I'm going to trust him with me, with my view as well. We have female friends. One of them particularly used to come to me with any dude she date and be like, hey, what do you know about the dude? Here's who I am. I'm going to tell you the truth about what I know about whatever situation if you're a friend of mine. And then I'm going to say, hey, here's something I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. You take it with a grain of salt. But I had two different female friends come to me and ask me about a guy at different times. One says, hey, what do you know about this guy? I said, well, I know he beat two of his previous girlfriends. Right? I know that for a fact because I was cool with the chicks, as in not like social media cool and we knew each other in real life. He abused both of those women. I said, so from my perspective, you'd be foolish to mess with her. Well, she skipped the information. She was armed with everything. And lo and behold, dude did the same thing to her. Right?
So she did not hold on to your words.
She did not. She called me, right? When she's like, I knew I should have listened to you. I chose not to. This is what happened.
Why? Did you ask her why she didn't? Why she
Because he was interesting. She wanted to have an interesting, popular guy. Okay. Now, we've been friends forever. We continue to be friends, and she has thanked me 1,000 times. Like, man, you tried to teach me right. You tried to get me to do right. She's married now, got a great guy. He isn't the stereotypical guy I would say she would date, right? She was attracted to the bad boys, right? The dude she got now, he's a good dude. Financially, he's straight, right? It's not, he got great income, but he wasn't a traditional bad boy. But when she met him, she's like, man, can we all go out to dinner? I want y'all to meet this dude. He's amazing. And she was. So she still cared about our opinion, right? In my opinion, but it took her a while to realize that I wasn't trying to steer her wrong, right? I was actually not trying to take fun from you. I was trying to take problems for you. Now, I had another chick that we was cool with. Same thing. She would always ask me, what do you know about this? She told me one time, she said, listen, I'm done asking you about the men I like because you never say what I want to hear.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Right? Because you know you wrong. Right? And then there was one other chick, and this was on I gotta go find it. This was a Facebook post.
Those were her literal words that I'm not
100% literal words. I'm not asking you anymore because you don't say what I want to hear.
Wow.
Right? I don't with my friends, bro, female friends, male friends, I've never sugarcoated shit. I'm the friend that everybody calls when they want the honest to God truth.
Right. I'm just saying that's why come to you for what you don't want to. I don't understand that.
So I think a lot of women and men and people in general want to be reassured of their decision. And they're hoping for somebody. Like, in fact, if you come to me and ask me about somebody, you already have doubts. That's why you ask him. Right? So, but you hoping I can squash your doubts and say some good, beautiful, rosy things about somebody. And I will if that's the truth. But if it ain't the truth, I'm not going to lie.
Right. So they know when you say it that it is the truth.
Man, and I do it. I do it for my guys. I do it for my female friends. It doesn't matter. But I had another female friend comment on something one time, and she said, the type of man I like and the type of man I should have in my life are two different men, and I know it. And at that point, I never offered another piece of relationship advice. I can't. You are fully aware of your decision. You even know the type of person you should be with versus who you continue to pick, yet you continue to pick them. You're not broken, right? You're not unaware. You are fully informed.
Yeah.
You literally know your right answer, and you still keep writing it down wrong. Now this is before she had kids, right? Now she's 3x3, right? Ain't nobody put a ring on it. 2 of the 3 don't participate. The other one is currently still involved. They've broken up and got back together multiple times, but I'm gonna say he's on track to not participate as well when it finally ends, right? And I mean, it just is what it is. They were not good picks from the very jump. The first one, and everybody, they always introduce us to the dude, right? So the first dude she introduced us to wasn't home too long from the spot, which to me is already a red flag, but that's a whole different conversation. And she obviously talked too much because his first question to me was, bro, how can I get on? Right? And I'm like, I said to her, right, I understand you use me as an example to tell this man I used to do this, and now do this. I said, the problem is he didn't ask me how to be right. He asked me how to be wrong. You shouldn't fuck with him. Well, obviously she didn't listen, right? The second dude wasn't much different. Same scenario, right? Met the cat. He on some street shit. I'm like, You picking listen, bro. Everybody has access to good people. Sometimes we just don't like the way they look or behave or dress. I was saying this to the chick I was on the phone with. I'm like, everybody has had opportunities to meet somebody great, but sometimes we let minor things get in our way. And the younger we are, the more likely we are to say, "Yeah, her ass ain't big enough," right?
It's
Or
crazy.
her waist ain't small enough, right? And those are things that the gym can help you do. Right? You can shrink a waist in the kitchen and build an ass in the gym,
But
right?
people, but why is that a thing though? You know what I mean? Like,
We because the younger we are, the more physical we are, right?
right. I like to call it hypersexuality. I just think that we are way too hypersexual to more now than ever. We've always been hypersexual, I think, in society, but now is way out of control. It gets younger and younger, seemingly. You
So,
know
so
what I'm saying?
you own something there, right? Because I'm in this relationship group because that's where I hang out now, trying to gather information.
Well, I'm just saying, why are you in a relationship?
Because my boy challenged me. So I'm in marriage groups, but most of the relationship groups, is about my guy challenged me to look and see what people are going through instead of just looking at my perspective. So that's what, because bro, I was 100% team woman. Men just need to step up and do better. My guy's like, man, just look and talk to some men that you don't know and some women you don't know and see what's going on. So I jumped in and I throw my wife in every relationship group I'm in. So you know what I'm saying? Hey, look at this. Tell me if I'm wrong. She in the same groups. I add her when I get at it. I invite her when I get at it. Whatever.
A lot of it, but a lot of that is already biased now due
It,
to,
it is
but I get it. Like trying to, like, what do you do to try to get a different perspective?
right. I mean, I'm told my group of friends are too similar, right? So I'm getting I'm seeing the same thing over and over. But you touched on something that they touched on, right? And this woman said, hype, men are too hypersexual, and I think everybody is, right?
Not just men.
Right. But she was trying to bash men with it, right? And she said most of that comes from molestation. And I thought about it, and while it may not be that to that extent, we are having sex and getting access to sexual desires way too young, right? My life is not normal by any means. I lost my virginity at age 13 to two girls at the same time,
Hmm.
right? Now, obviously, one was first, right? But we were in the
Hmm.
same room, same bed, same everything. That was
Hmm.
entirely too young.
Right.
We found a VCR tape because I'm old, right? And we didn't know what the hell it was. It's a group of what we put it in, and I'm like, well, that looks fun, and that's what
Hmm.
happened,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But I think the woman had a point, and I said, but instead of focusing on bashing men, what we should say is we need to not be so sexual and sexualizing others around our children, in front of our children, and anywhere children can see, because we should be protecting our kids because we are who we are. If it's hard to change as an adult, but we
Hmm.
do control the kids. So when you talked about the hypersexuality, I think you're right, and I think we need to look at the root cause. We can't necessarily just turn it off, right? We have to look at the
No,
root
but
cause.
it has to be part of the conversation. Like I think that we're having these conversations about relationships, right? And why they seem to be so difficult across genders. And to me, it's not simple internally, but the concept is simple, right?
Mhm.
If if you we if women could easily collectively or generally say, I'm not giving access until I get this type of commitment,
Yep.
right? Like whatever that commitment, some kind of commitment to where it makes sense for you to believe that this person's going to be around, right? And like I told you, I tried to sell my sons the same idea. Like, hey, you know, don't lay up with women that you don't trust enough or know enough to to see a life with them. And you can't even do that until you figure out who you are, right? Can't tell you what you do with your body, but I'm telling you the simple solution to avoid the type of problems that us as adults have right now, because they are all problems that we all created through experiences that, like you explained, when you were just having you found, so you say we found a videotape, right? Now it's put in their faces. It's fed to them. It's very different, So, but we facilitate that as adults. Like to me, if I'm a dictator of a society or a community, then for me it would be illegal to allow children to access certain things as a parent. It's your job to protect them from certain forms of. It wouldn't be allowed on. You know what I mean? It'd just be a different.
Absolutely.
It's an easy solution. So I think it's on purpose as far as social engineering, right? But I don't understand why we're having this conversation as if we don't know really what the problem is, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about relationships, but we're really talking about sexual encounters is what we're talking about.
100%. Because relationships without sex are really not going to be relationships in the long run.
Right, they're friendships. So
Right. And I think you touched on a point there, right? It's always been difficult. I think. Well, I shouldn't say always. It used to be difficult for men to have sex.
used
Right?
to be.
It
You're
used to be
right.
difficult. So
Yeah.
I grew up in the era of you had to do something to get access to a woman's body. You couldn't
Yeah.
just be like, "Hey, let's fuck," and we
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah.
Right? There was those girls. The whole society shunned them. Right? And I know it's unfair that men could run around and do everything, and women
But that's how it is.
right. But you know what? It's also unfair that I have to die so you can live on. But I'm okay with that. Right? I'll take that responsibility if somebody breaks in and I got to go put my life on the line so you don't have to.
Right.
That's a fair
Right.
trade. Right?
Right.
I don't ever complain about the male role, right? But I grew up in a time where you had to earn sex, right? Now, granted, that was a long time ago, but you still had to earn it. It was earned through time and through effort. Some chicks didn't require a lot of take me here, just do it, but you had to spend a lot of time with them to
You
get
got
to
to play the
know them,
game.
right? And let them get attached to your personality, not just your looks.
hmm
That's over, bro.
Man.
And women in that aspect, I would say were the gatekeepers of sexuality, not sexual intercourse, but sexuality. Men have always been
Explain the difference.
so. Here's the difference: men have always been the safe auto side of the relationship. We do the bare minimum to get what we need, but the bare minimum was always high as fuck. You had to have a job, you had to be willing to provide and take care of and do those things, right? Women collectively have changed that requirement, right? Not all of them, right? But enough of them that when you meet a good girl who's like, okay, I want you to wait. And it was like, nah, I might not like you if I'm not waiting 3 weeks. Or I wait 3 weeks with you, but for the next 21 days, I'm smashing these chicks. So I'm really not giving you a fair shot at, are you okay? Right? Are you good for me because I'm busy with other stuff? So what I mean by it is collectively, they've dropped the requirements that men have to have in order to get access to them. And that puts a lot of decent women in bad situations. So here's my, I'll point this out. If you know any women 35, 40, single that's on social media that are of decent character, I'm not talking about bust downs and shit like that.
Mm.
I've noticed what they post picture wise gets a little bit more risque every year, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Not because they're nasty, but because they get no response, right? So now they're showing not necessarily body parts like that, but their pictures are focused on the breast or the ass or the
It's
silhouette. They
hypersexual.
have no choice because if they don't, they get no attention because the competition is doing it. Like, let's be real, bro.
But that's the problem. That's the problem is you're looking for the attention on social media, and you know what I
You're
mean.
right.
So I mean,
But isn't that how pretty much everything happens right now? I mean, unfortunately, that's where we are, right? I started
Man.
hold on real quick. I started a Facebook group 5 years ago called Michiana Meetups or Michiana Weekly Meetups. I said the intent of this group is to get everybody off social media, right? So we would have meetups at like bars and restaurants and shit like that. And I made some great friends through that. Because I'm like, man, everybody's meeting on social media and not knowing anybody in real life. Let's take this shit to a different level, go back to the old school. And man, we've developed some great friendships. Me and other people that were with us have met one another. It's been beautiful. But COVID killed it, right? Because you couldn't go nowhere and I never revived it. But people function way better in a in-person environment. I've seen
Right.
people hook up in that environment that would never have liked each other on social media.
Right. That's what
And they're great together. Bro, we have and I'm gonna give it back to you. We have we had a party and I invited a bunch of people to this get together. It was based off the same thing, right? Let's get off Facebook and hang out. And my boy and one of our female friends met and they've been together for probably 9 years now, right? That kind of shit is the natural organic relationships are the best. But we don't have that desire anymore.
Right. I'm just saying that I understand these kids, right? This has been their lives, their entire lives. I get it. But I'm saying we come from a generation where we know the value of that. We know that I'm like, it's hard for me to understand why a lot of us act like we don't know this shit is fake.
Man, we all
Right.
know.
Like I don't
We all know.
understand. Like we know this is fake, right? We know it's no different than we know if we're around each other, we had the moments where we were all being silly, right? We were
Hmm.
talking shit. Then you get back to, I guess real life, right?
Yep.
So I'm saying, but like I've seen people, grown adults, full grown adults, take this shit personal. Make this shit personal. And it's like to me, this is fake. I don't take of course, if I know you in a way where I can respect your mind, right, I'll take your words
Right. Right.
verbatim, right? But I'm saying that it still that can't compete with I when I see you though. You know what I mean? Like,
Real life shit.
yeah, like is that vernacular that you exercise on social media, is that real?
And it really isn't. Right. For most people, it isn't. Even our pictures aren't real. Right. Like
Right. That's what I see. Right.
it was last summer. I think it was last summer. Me and the wife went somewhere, and I took a picture. I'm like, this is us. There's no filters. There's no nothing. I said because I miss the days of that. I have Facebook friends, bro, that I've met in real life. That if they wouldn't have spoke to me and said their names, I would have never knew who they
Right.
were. I don't
Right.
even pretend to know you, right? If you come up to me and be like, hey, I'm like, who are you? No disrespect. I don't know who you are. Oh, we're Facebook friends. I'm so and so. Oh, okay, cool. 'Cause real life, they don't look like that,
Right. Right.
right? I think we have, and this is one of the things I think I personally struggle is understanding how you can spend an hour putting on makeup, getting all beautiful every single day, go out, let the world believe that's who you is, and then come home and be actually you. And I'm a fan of natural beauty.
I was gonna say that shit looks stupid to me.
It really does.
I'm saying that I really, when I see women with a pound of makeup on, I'm like, you look like a clown to me,
You know
right?
what? It's, and I don't want to dwell on the subject, but I'm gonna throw it out there. The reason we can't distinguish men from women today in certain situations is because there's so much shit covering up their actual face. Dudes are being tricked into fucking with other dudes because he looked like a woman. That was not something that
That's-
happened before because every woman was. Don't get me wrong; they had lipstick, eyeshadow, and a little bit of I don't know what that shit is, blush, foundation, whatever. Right?
yeah,
They enhanced
yeah,
their natural features.
yeah.
That those days are gone for
But
most people.
so that's what I'm saying. That's it goes back to what the original point of the conversation is, I believe, right? When we were talking about, it started with taking them out of their masculinity and all this, right? But for me, it just this society in the world really, but speaking of the society that you and I live in, it's just become obsessed with sexuality.
Mhm.
It's obsessed with it. Like everything, like they've even tied it into real social narratives that have to do with race and culture and politics. And it's like to me, I don't believe sexuality has any place in any social social platform. I don't think sexual. I mean, it just to me, it just doesn't. So I shouldn't have to know. It shouldn't even be a topic. Like if you and I are having a conversation, what? Why would you like? Not once did I think to ask like, what is your sexuality? You know
Right?
what I mean?
It
Like,
has no
what
impact.
it has nothing to do with it, and it's not drawn up to be that way, right?
Hmm.
But that's really what it's like. We obsess with it, but we don't really talk about it in a real way.
Yeah.
We act like this shit is difficult. This shit is not difficult. It's not difficult to be accountable. It's not difficult to be responsible. It's not difficult to call things what it is, right? So why are we acting like it's so hard for us to understand why are men this way or why are women this way? Like we living through social media. We living through a fake
Right.
virtual space. We don't even want to put the effort into, hey, let's just meet up as our true selves and have real conversations. You know what I mean? To have real experiences and create so we can really understand each other that way. And it would, and like you said, what would happen if we did that? Relationships that last 9, 10 years, people would start building families. That's what would happen if we really were doing
Hmm.
that.
I got a white homie. Right. His name is Duke. If I met Duke through social media, and I'm gonna be honest. If it wasn't for social media, we probably would never even talk to each other, right? Because this is my guy, right? This is my homie, but we're so different that that we would have never came together. So I want to give social media some points with bringing different people together, right?
Yeah.
Because we ran in different circles. Now we kick it. He comes over here when we have parties. We go kick it with them in Dewajak. And bro, we're two totally different dudes. But because we met each other through social media, had those conversations, when we actually met the first time, it seemed like everybody thought we knew each other forever. Right. So I want to give social media some points.
No, it's
right.
social media is beautiful. You know what I mean?
But
Like
we have to use it right.
right. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like
And
we're living through it. It's social media is supposed to bring worlds together. Like, you know, right? Like something that probability wouldn't like you said, probability wouldn't have allowed y'all to really meet in person. Right. So
Right.
that's what the beauty of social media is. But you are a real person outside of social media. You already value relationships in a real way. You value interpersonal interaction and engagement. You know what I mean? Like you are a person that likes to commit to relationships and value building real relationships. So, you know, as am I, right? But with that, you also know that you and I both know that accountability comes with that, right?
Absolutely.
Having, you know, being confrontational. That's not a bad thing. Like, you
Not at
know,
all.
because we're not going to be, if the closer you and I get, we're going to see sides of each other that would make us uncomfortable enough to where we're going to have to say something, approach it, right? So we can better understand each other. That's a part of of relationships, right? It's no different than what you and your wife have built over years, or, you know what I mean? Or me and my spouse have built over years, like going through those spaces, right?
Absolutely.
But we think that if we have a conversation that's, you know, seemingly perfect over social media, that it's supposed to translate into real life, and that's just not how it goes.
Man, I'm gonna you 100% right, and I'm gonna find this video and put it in one of the podcasts. I watched this. Me and my wife watched these little YouTube videos, right? And it was these three news ladies, and for some reason they all had on all white outfits, and they were like, one of the chicks was like, "Nah, we're not doing this." Right? This is backstage, right? They beefing, they talking shit. But when the news shit came on, they were best friends. I'm like, that's social media all day long, right? People who hate each other in real life be faking the funk on, you know what I'm saying, on social media. And I think so social media to me is, from a bad perspective, there's two components. There's the part where everything is fake, and there's a part where we want to be victims, right? The victimization is so crazy. And circling back a little bit to race, I'm going to say something, and I don't know how it's going to be taken, but I miss the days when racism was the worst problem we had as black men. I miss those days, because now the problems we have, yes, they're engineered through society, but a lot of young brothers ain't even getting to the point where racism is their problem, right? Their problems are within the neighborhood they're in, right? Whether it be relationship or life problems, right? I like, man, y'all not even giving yourselves enough time and effort and opportunity to be hated on by some motherfuckers, right? Like, those were fucked up days for me. We're like, those were the old days, 90s, early 2000s. We're way worse than that right now, right? And when I say that, some people are like, man, what do you mean, man? I'm like, I miss those days because we did better. That's why we had the problems, right? No, and there's obviously some outside influences, but man, bro, if you just took a step back and look at the situations, a lot of them that we create for ourselves. And again, there's a reason we're creating them. But I'm also a firm believer of daddy makes a difference, right? Daddy stops all the outside shit. But we have problems that our biggest problems right now are community based. They're like, I know more black men that have been to prison and in funeral homes than I do have been through college, right? In the last 20 years. That's a problem, bro.
I think that because that's the other side of social media, right? Like media itself is powerful, right? So social media, you know, like now we understand that it controls algorithm, and it's all about like we reinforce our own negative images of ourselves, and then our kids have bought into it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they buy into the images they are being shown through social media, because now it's instantly accessed. Like you can't go anywhere. I can say no TV, no phones in my house. I can say that, right? But everywhere outside of here,
Man,
that's what it's going to be. Versus, a decade or two ago, it was TV, and that was
yeah,
minimal, right? It really wasn't. We were more interested in being outside. Actually, we had to be threatened to come in, get in the house by a
man,
certain
no
time,
doubt. Before the
right?
streetlights come on.
Right. Now it's like people can't even, and people that grew up in that generation, even adults, cannot sit and have a conversation when it's just straight interpersonal interaction, right? Is there, we're distracted, and so we can't evolve healthily. Is what I believe, right? So we're evolving, but we're not evolving healthily, and so we're creating problems where there are no problems. Building solid relationships really wasn't a mass problem in society before social media, right? It's almost like humanity is just finds a way to fuck everything up because I'm pretty sure they didn't build social media for that, right? But we just find a way to fuck it up, just like we find a way to, worshiping a higher power. We find a way to fuck that up with religion. We created religion, which created division. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
We us being different people, having different cultures, looking different. We found a way to fuck that up with the concept of racism,
Yep.
right? So, but I just I can fathom that because that was my life. That's what I was born into that,
Hmm.
right? But when I was I remember one time I was in Jamaica and I didn't understand, when I'm asking the young lady about the culture, you know what I mean? And I asked her, has she ever been to the States? She's like, yeah, I've been there, but it's not really for me. Why is that? And she's like, y'all just have too many problems. Like the things that are problems for y'all, like we don't deal with that over here. We don't even have
Right.
problems. We have situations. And I didn't quite understand what she meant because she was like, y'all, and it's like y'all create that. So fast forward, late she was our escort. She dropped us off, and I'll be back to get y'all. Just be cool. My homegirl, she getting a little anxious because they ain't back. You know what I'm saying? And so she like start asking the people, have you seen such and such? And I need the people. They like, yeah, they over there. They'll be here soon. So she pulls up. My homegirl like, man, y'all got a little nervous. I thought you had left us. And she just looked at her and shook her head in disgust. Like, and I got I'm like,
That's
that's
that
what she's
American
talking
shit.
about.
Yeah.
It's like there was no problem. You
We
created
created
the
one.
problem, right? And so now I'm like, I'm able to see life through a different lens, and I'm looking at, whether it's through social media, just and even with family dynamics, it's like we just like we're creating problems where there are no problems. Like we could use this as a tool, but we would
Right.
just rather use it for divisiveness.
So
This is
I,
weird to me.
I think there's a couple parts to that. One, there's money in trouble, right? Again, I'll go back to the thing where I said if I make a positive post, it may not do as well as a negative post. But now people get paid on social media by how many views and likes, and people will watch and support fight videos and all because they just get likes and likes and they get a little bit of money. Um, on the other aspect, American culture is just what it is, right? We are nobody likes us. Don't let the world fool you and tell you, man, the world hates us for our freedoms, bro. I have traveled the world extensively. I have not landed one place where they were like, I hate you because you're American. They were like, I hate Americans because y'all come over here and try to bring y'all shit. We export problems. Prime example. All right, we do Aruba. Aruba's a very beautiful island. One happy island is what they call it. We're sitting in this restaurant. Mind you, this hotel all inclusive runs about $5,000-6,000 a week. It's not cheap, right? There's this chick and this dude, and bro, it's an elegant restaurant, and I just hear her yelling. She cussing him out, screaming, and I'm talking the stuff I would expect to hear between two chicks fighting at a club, and everybody's looking, and I'm like, I know they American, right? That's the first thing came into my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, and she carried on. Dude's actually on the calm side, like, okay, listen, let's go to the room and talk about it. She just screaming and yelling at the top of her lungs, and everybody's looking at them like that's some American shit,
Mhm.
right? We export our behaviors.
And I
We
begin
don't,
secondhand embarrassment with that shit. I ain't
right?
gonna lie.
Oh, bro, I'm trying to fake an African accent. You know what I'm saying? Right? I'm over here trying to fake an accent when everybody know I'm from the States,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
I've done extensive travel, and I've never had an issue with somebody saying, "Hey, I don't like you because you're American." And
Mhm.
as a black man, which let me take that away too, because I got to stop using that because I thought I was a black man
I'm
until I
glad you
started
said that.
traveling. Right? No, nobody looks at me as a black man. You are an American of African descent, right? So I have to fight myself to use that term, and I always contemplate. I always try to remember, don't use that. I'm an American because if I
Like
consider
across
myself
the board, like or
across,
just in certain
across the board,
situations.
I try to use it
Man,
across the board.
I want to have that. I swear, I want to have that conversation because that's where I'm at now. I'm like, I
I
don't
heard
even.
you so-called white people, so-called black people, and I was like,
It,
yeah, that's on that. We're at the
yeah,
same spot, right?
I
Here's
don't.
why I don't do African American. Because to me that belittles me. Because me and you were born, not me and you, but I'm talking to a white dude. We're born in the same country. I
Mhm.
might have been born first. Why are you not a European American, but I'm an African American?
Right, right.
It's to
We know
belittle
this.
me. Is how I look at it.
Yeah,
Right? It isn't. It isn't. And again, people gonna look at this differently. It isn't a badge of honor to me. Right? You're telling me I'm not as American as you are. Right? African American is 3/5 of man. Like you, there's too many negative connotations with that.
right.
So I know I'm venturing off, but that's what we probably need to do.
No,
But
no.
um,
I think it matters because I'm saying like we reduce ourselves even in the arena of relationships.
mhm,
Like her calling you over a post, which is nothing wrong with making the contact, right, to get the
right,
context, right. But it's almost like you call me to create more of a problem, not to really have the conversation, and
right,
that's us reducing ourselves. We just continue to reduce ourselves whenever there's a social media narrative of racism or whatever. We reduce ourselves to being monolithic. We are not monolithic. You are not my people just because you had the same skin tone. Like
100%.
and for me to accept the term of black, that's reducing me. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And so we reduce ourselves so much that we don't think much of ourselves collectively. So how can we build healthy relationships? We make
Yep.
this shit harder than what, but a lot of it, I believe it comes at the expense of our lack of identity. You know what I mean? Self, because we let people control our narratives, and we don't really go on that journey of self discovery and moving around this bitch. It's a whole world out here.
Yes, sir. One of the key things that will open your eyes for somebody who disagrees, I say go look at any social media post where it's the first black anything, and all the comments will be like,
Hate
"Why
it.
are they not just American? Why not just American? Why do you have to?" When it's positive, they want to take it from us,
But
right?
I hate that too, though.
I hate it too.
Like the first, like why would so? First of all, do you believe that? You believe that you are the first black like that?
So for certain things, they're like first black astronaut. I'll roll with that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things where I'm like, okay, he was the first person to do this that came from the same heritage. I'll give you credits for certain things, right?
Who, but who's telling that story though?
Well, I mean, I just look at it from a technology standpoint. Certain things we couldn't do, and the further back we go, the harder it was, right? Like my father, I'll use my grandfather as an example, right? And this is a little bit off topic, but my grandfather went and fought for this country, and then came back and couldn't sit in a restaurant and eat for people he fought for, right? So I'm
Right,
certain they took there was a whole lot of other shit he couldn't do. So from a
right. But
time perspective,
his history, our history didn't start there
no,
though.
no, no, it
Right,
started long before that.
right.
Right?
So
But
yeah,
technology limited certain things too. We weren't going out of space
yeah,
before the 70s. You know what
yeah.
I'm
But I'm
saying?
saying, think about it like this though. Why would I want to fight to be served by someone who doesn't want to serve me? I have to think less of myself for me to, I have to
Of
think, you know
course.
what I mean? So, but yeah, we don't have to get
I
into that
mean,
part of the
no, no, no,
conversation.
right. No, I'm with you though, right? Because that's one of the things. Again, I'm not just saying that to you, right? I say this shit everywhere, and I don't want to be treated differently for my race. There's only one thing I hate more than affirmative action from a government policy race related thing. It's the fact that we actually need it. That's the thing I hate more than affirmative action is the fact
Hmm.
that we actually need it. Because you can take 10 fully capable American men of African descent and they'll all get passed up for a job with somebody who's not capable, right? Because his skin is light. Um, but I struggle with that one because I'm like I don't like it. But I'm gonna acknowledge
But I think that has more to do with nepotism than anything, though,
and it could, right? But
right?
me,
Like, are you not going to look? I'm saying, are you not going to look out for your people before you look out for anybody else, like your immediate
it's
circle?
natural, right?
Yeah,
I didn't say I was
right.
mad at him,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
No, I
I
get it.
said,
I
but we
get it.
need it,
I get it. I
right?
get it.
I hate the fact that we need it because we don't have the power structure to do our own thing,
That's a
right?
conversation too.
It is, right? The power structure. But
Yeah.
we here's one of the things. Like again, I want to be treated the same. Don't treat me different because I look different. And don't tell me I don't see color, because I hate that. You do. We all
Just
see color.
you
If you tell
stop
me
it.
you
You
don't see
stop
my
at red
color,
lights. You stop at red lights.
right?
So
If
you
you don't
see
see
color.
color, you're gonna disrespect mine,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
my situation around police is different than yours.
Right.
But I was in a prime example. I went to South Carolina with some associates, 3 white dudes and myself, right? And I'm using the term white because I want to distinguish here, white American dudes, right? We walk into this building, and I was the second shortest dude. My boss was 5'3", older, heavy set, gray hair dude. We walk in, we meet the people on the team. They shake his hand. How you doing, sir? The next dude was probably 6'3", 6'4", not really big, but just tall. How you doing, sir? Another cat was, I think he's about 5'11". And same thing. Dude shook his hand. Hey, how you doing, sir? When he got to me, he was like, "What's up?" I said, "No, we don't do that. You did not hi sir everybody else and not hi sir me." "Oh, well, I don't. What's the issue?" I said, "Because you treat me different. I'm not the tallest. I'm not the shortest. I'm not the biggest. I'm not the smallest. Why you treat me different? Oh, you just look cool. Okay, what
What
about
was
my
his
look?"
culture?
He said he was a white dude,
Okay.
right? But he
Uh-huh.
was cool. But nonetheless, don't do that,
Boy,
right? I
was he
said,
was
"What?"
he was he
Uh,
trying to relate to you or something?
he was trying to relate to me, but that means in order to relate to me, you got to be trying to treat me different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because you
Yeah.
didn't try to relate to them. I
Yeah.
understand what you're trying to do, but
Yeah.
don't do that to me. I don't
Yeah.
know you yet,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't an asshole about it, but I'm telling him, don't treat me different,
Hmm.
right? I don't want extras, and I don't want nothing taken from me.
Right.
I want to earn my way,
Right.
but don't, because I saw it as a lack of respect.
Yeah.
Not that you didn't respect me when you said what's up. You didn't respect me enough to say sir, like you did everybody else. You
Right.
gave them a different level of respect. Now, again, I'm an international traveler. I've never had that problem outside the United States. I tell my people overseas when I get comfortable and cool with them, you don't have to refer to me as sir. We're friends, right? Because for them it's a respect thing,
Yeah.
right? They respect Americans differently. They don't treat you different because you're light skinned or dark skinned American. You're an American,
Hmm.
right? But so for me, I don't want to be treated different, right? But I don't want to pretend we don't see the difference in skin tones because it carries some differences. Prime example, right? My daughter's baby shower was just yesterday, and we rented a conference room, a room at this hotel, and I'm going in, and the lady knows nothing about me at all, right? It's a white lady. She's probably, and I'm saying white because I want to distinguish, right? She's
Hmm.
probably 28 to 32 range. So I'm
This
going
is
in.
this is the lady that's hosting the.
She's the worker at the hotel,
Okay.
getting me access to the room. We're going in a
Right.
night earlier to
Hmm.
to get everything set up.
Right.
Right, so we get everything in there, and then I'm sorry, this was the earlier that day because I went that morning. It was a different crew at night. I went that morning to go take some extra stuff in there before we had to get everything ready.
Hmm.
And by that time, my wife and mother-in-law had everything set up. And the lady's like, "Man, this is beautiful." Right? She's like, "It's a beautiful setup." She said, "I only had 6 people at my baby shower." Right now, I know you want to have a conversation. I don't know what it is, but you're telling me things I didn't ask.
Hmm.
Right? But I need to ask now because we got our stuff set up for like 65, 70 people.
Hmm.
And you telling me you had 6. So I said, "Well, what's the reason?" She said, "Well, my kids are mixed, and my parents didn't like it." She said, and I just let her talk, right? I'm not telling her my wife is white, my daughter's mixed, none of that. I'm just
So
letting her talk.
she don't know.
She didn't know at this time, right?
Okay. Okay.
And she said, I tell my daughter don't see color, and I stopped her right there. I said, "Don't do that. You're going to ruin that child's life because her friends are going to look at her and see she's different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't tell her don't see color. Tell her color doesn't matter in the aspect of how you treat someone, whether you love them, respect them, stuff like that."
Mm-hmm.
And then I proceeded to tell her, "Hey, my wife is white, my daughter's mixed. So the situation that you're telling me about is I understand what you're trying to do, but
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that daughter's dad's not in his life,
Mm-hmm.
in her life, because he wouldn't tell you to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right?" And we went on.
Did she get into that part?
No, I didn't want to hear because I was for something else, right? I'm on some other
Right.
stuff
Right.
where I'm
Right. Right.
celebrating
Right.
daughters. I don't
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily want to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
into
Yeah. For
that.
sure. For
Um,
sure.
but she did tell me, I'd asked. I said, "Do you mind me asking, right? What like, are you certain that's what it was, right? Because sometimes you might not like a kid just because they're your kid. You don't gotta like them, right? This is reality." She said, right? She said, no, she has a sister who married a white guy, and they had 100 people at the baby shower, 100 people at the wedding. She said, "When I took my daughter to my grandfather's funeral, they called the police and made me leave." Okay, that's cool. That's serious racism right there, right?
Wow.
That's serious racism right there,
Wow.
right? And that's a conversation for a different day. But
But look though, but I'm saying, but now, if you translate what you just said, that reduction aspect, I I believe that a lot of women who look like us have subconsciously reduced us.
Mhm.
So it's whenever we exemplify strength or assertiveness or whatever, it's deemed, violent or emotional. It's but from men of a different hue, it's seen as strength. It's seen as confidence. Because the word that got popular last year, or the year before, was narcissism. They
I
said
hate
we
that,
were
but
all
yeah,
narcissists, right? And it's,
yeah.
and it's like, but if you ask him, how am I a narcissist? You try to control everything. Well, that's what confident men who lead do. They control the situations. You know what I mean? If I speak loud with authority, I'm not yelling. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm just firm in what I'm saying. I mean what I'm
Assertive.
saying. Yeah, like, but and I'm not saying we don't do it to our women as well. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
let me ask you this: have you ever seen a group of women that are not of our hue bash their men?
No, I'm gonna stop you right there. No,
Okay,
no, not in person. Not so.
I'm
I
talking
have
about
seen
collectively. I'm not saying
no,
they need to
not
bash.
in person, not on social
Right.
media, not in an article.
I've never seen it. Why?
Right.
Why do we do it?
I'm gonna tell you why we do it. I'm gonna tell you why I believe we do it. We have been taught to bash people of our hue. I like how you word that, so I'm gonna steal that phrase for you. Know what I'm saying?
No, no, it's all good. It's all
Right,
good.
I'm still in that. We have been taught that it's okay, right, to bash people of our hue. Now, and for some reason we're okay with that. Not us
Yeah,
individually,
yeah,
but I'm talking collectively,
yeah.
right?
And it's vice versa. Even with, men, collectively, we do it to a lot of our women as
But
well.
I'm it's weird because when I first started this whole podcast thing, and on my TikTok, I'm gonna pull some old videos up at some point. I was an adamant supporter of women of our hue, right? I'm like, man, as a man married to a woman who is of a different color than me, I'm arguing on y'all behalf pretty regularly against men that look like me, right? Because I'm like, no matter what happens, my daughter is going to be of a different hue than her
Mhm,
mom.
mhm.
And no matter who you as a man of color have sex with and procreate with, that daughter is gonna go through everything you went through, right? It's weird to me that we're okay with it. Now, does some individuals deserve and earn that credit? Yes. If you a sexy red support, I'm gonna use sexy red, right? I'm gonna use her as an example. I
Man,
have a cousin who's married to a chick who's also uh, um, a different hue. I gotta get used to that one. Um, she one day I made a post about sexy red. She commented, she's like, "I like the music." Yeah, but you don't. That doesn't impact your life, right? You can turn it on, sing the song all the way to your job, turn it off, and it never bother. It don't affect your life. For some reason, we turn that on and like this is a life lesson. This is instructions on how to live my life, and they out there doing it.
mhm.
And that I
Right.
I don't
It goes back to when we don't have any identity. We let some, other people give us our identity, right? And we get it through media, which is weird to me. You know what I mean? Like other cultures, when people try to say, we try to make it, we'll try to reduce media like media's impact on us and say it's just entertainment. It's like we don't receive it like that. It can be that it's just entertainment for other cultures because they
swear,
have their
yeah.
identity, but we don't. We believe this is real. This is why the majority of our, well, I ain't gonna say the majority, but a lot of our children actually pursue being an athlete or entertainer because that's all they see themselves as, and that's all we celebrate.
No
You know
doubt.
what I'm saying? Like other cultures generally they'll take up sports, right? But it's either they have a route that they already going
It's
to
an
already,
agenda for them.
yeah, for them, or they already got some already built for them. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they already know
Right.
this is something that I'm doing. But we will pursue it relentlessly. And we allow our children to bank their entire lives on it, and then we wonder why they don't know what they want to do. When that doesn't work out, and where that comes from. That's another symptom of us not doing the work to be able to build strong, healthy relationships and alliances amongst men and women in our culture.
No
Because
doubt.
that's how our children are out of order right now.
So you brought up a good point, and I'm a firm believer of entertainment is entertainment, right? I argue with certain people. It's like, oh man, you don't understand this. The social media pushing us this and that. I said, listen, I absolutely loved the 1984 Terminator movie, and when I went to when I watched that movie, right? Everybody else seen that movie too. Nobody went and did what Terminator did. They didn't go shoot up a police station, right? They didn't do none of that shit. It was entertainment. At some point, we lost the distinction between entertainment and reality, and I'm going to put that at the father level, right? That's your father's role to teach you the difference between reality and entertainment. Now, you said something about we aspire to be athletes and entertainers, and it made me think. My mind started went spinning. Right, I'm old, right? So I grew up with music. Sometimes we listen to Jackson 5, right? I also remember ABC, right? The little cats that was singing. I remember Crisscross. I remember Little Bow Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a white kid have music, right? Not for adults. I don't think I've seen little Mexican kids or Indian. Like I don't think I've seen that. Am I wrong? Do you know of any groups or like from a musician group that was made of kids, right? Of other cultures? Like I'm not familiar with.
How old was New Kids on the Block? How old were they?
They were like 18, 19, I think. They
You
were
saying like little kids?
like little kids, like ABC, you know, little kid, Another Bad Creation,
Right.
Crisscross Make You Jump, right? Like
The first one we seen was Justin Bieber. And
right. He was in our culture. Let's
yeah,
he don't
yeah,
really
yeah. No, I'm
he
saying that
don't look
was
like us, but the
right.
music was ours.
But
So
I'm saying that was like after that. Yeah, generationally, no, we only see our kids,
you know
right?
we do that, right? So we've got some things we got to overcome, and I do believe it's a parental thing, right? I have two adult children. I did not. I tried my best to not shield or hide, but protect my kids from the wrong thing, music wise, entertainment wise, things like that. But I also explained to them, listen, just there's a lot of stuff you're going to hear. That's just entertainment. You don't live that way, right? My daughter used to listen to all kind of strange music, not strange music, but I'll call it 90 U93 music. Whatever was on U93 yesterday. One day I got in her car and it's straight trap music, bro. And it took me, I was like, where did this shit come from? Right? But it was music. And when she got out the car, she didn't behave or perform or anything of that nature like that. And my son's the same way, right? So I'm like, it was my job to make sure that they understood that just
Right.
because something is entertainment reality, entertainment doesn't mean it's reality. Now, one thing I will say that I've always done or avoided, in all of social media, I have never shared a black on black fight video of any kind. I never will. I've never watched Power or any of those kind of shows that depict black people in a negative light. That will never play in my house, bro. And I'm the only person in this hue in my house right now. It
Yeah.
doesn't play. I've never supported that
Yeah.
because I'm like, man, I know the damage that does. It
Yeah.
should just be entertainment, but it isn't.
Hey, that's what when you see how many of these our women attack me when I speak on that in regards like Tyler Perry, when I say like the damage that he's done just because of how he's exploited so-called black culture, like we depict the worst versions of ourselves or the most extreme versions. Like, yeah, it's not foreign to us, but it's like we're not all buffoons. You know what I
Right.
mean? It isn't that extreme. You know what I mean? It's just not like that. And for every extreme so-called black person I've seen an extreme version of another culture
Hmm.
in real life as well, right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, it's not a culture, it's not culturally specific to us. So why do we exploit that through music and entertainment so much?
And I don't know because you're right. Like I don't do Tyler Perry movies not because they suck to me, right? Because it's the
Yeah,
stereotypical
it's not,
everything.
and it's not good. It's just not well
It's the
written.
stereotypical everything.
Yeah.
But if I went to what was the movie? Oh man, I can't remember what the movie was, but it was a movie where the brother cheated on the sister with a white chick. I went to the theater with the wife, and it was everybody looked at me when when he acted up, right? And I'm just, but
Oh,
it's
was it
cool.
was it was it one of Tyler Perry's movie?
No, I think this was like what was it? I can't remember what it was, bro. I think it was before Tyler Perry. This is way back in. I can't remember what the movie was. I have to look it up. I can't remember what it was. Um, but long story short, I look when I go when I go to
They looked at you because you was with.
with a white chick, everybody looked at me. I'm like, I don't know why he did it. You know what I'm saying? I know why I'm doing it, but I don't know why he did it. But when I look at the movies, like we won't if it ain't black culture, we don't even go see it. Right? It's like so when I look at Tyler Perry, I don't blame him for what he's done because, and I know we may disagree. He's not saying, hey, because I'm showing this, you got to act up. You got to believe that this is life. You got to live like it. That's our individual choices we're making to take this and say this is more than entertainment, and I need to behave this way.
But it's not though.
When bro changed his tune and said, "Get you a man if all he can pay is electric bill," then they turned on him, right? Because they're like, "Whoa, this ain't what we used to," right? I can relate to that because when I stopped saying, "Hey, women are always right," they were like, "Oh, you a traitor," right? Now you ain't on our team,
right. So this is my thing with see, while I believe in accountability, right, I also understand the condition of my people. So I'm not going to feed them a certain version of themselves because I know that collectively we are not able to differentiate, what I mean, that the entertainment from, the reality of our circumstances, right? Our own individuality. And I believe dude is a brilliant man, right? He's brilliant enough to understand that, hey, it's not just entertainment. We are seeing ourselves through the art you're creating. And that to me is being irresponsible. Do I blame you for all the millions of us who allow that or buy into it? No, I can't blame you for that. I'm saying your role in it though is that you're feeding it to a culture that is not equipped to sustain that practical balance between reality and just the media overall. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too powerful. It's too media for us is our reality.
It's everything.
That's just for other cultures. No, it's not. Or for people that's in the upper class, it's not their reality. But for us, it's our reality. And so I think we have to be responsible as it relates to what, like you said, that's why you won't even share it.
Yeah, I don't watch it. I don't support it. I don't share it. But do we feel that way? So we talk about Tyler Perry, but do we feel that way about 50 Cent? Do we feel that way about different rappers? Right.
I do.
Now, and I know you do. You know what
Yeah.
we were, and I don't want to dwell too much on the previous members, but we were having that discussion on the very first one. You talked about what can't happen in your studio, right? That alone added. I already respect you, but that added another level of respect because to me, I looked at that the same way I look at things I do. I'm not for sale, right? There isn't an amount of money that can make me change my beliefs and what I stand for.
Facts.
And people think that's weird. Like, oh man, if somebody offered you this, no. And here's why I believe, this is me personally. I believe I'm not for sale because I believe I can achieve anything I really want to achieve. So you buying me or paying me to do this or me supporting something I don't believe in has no value to me. Right now, I don't believe I'm going to I don't believe I'm going to be a billionaire. Two reasons. One, I'm not willing to put in the work to become one. Two, that shit sounds like too much work and I don't want to deal with it.
Right. And
Right.
I believe in freedom. And I
Right.
believe that that's a symptom of not having freedom when somebody
Correct.
can buy you.
Right. And
Yeah.
so that I go round and round. Right. Here's one thing I know. No human being on earth is going to do something for money they wouldn't also do for free. If you're not capable of doing it for free, there's no amount of money that's going to change that. Right? It's short of, and I excuse somebody who's addicted to something because they have a whole different, perspective and
for
desire
sure.
behind what's leading them.
Yeah, for sure.
But so from my perspective, I've never supported. Well, let me not say it. I'm guilty of watching the Friday movies. They crack me up. But I look at the Friday movies like this doesn't have a really negative impact because it's a comedy, and they're not. They're at the end of the whole movie. There's always a positive spin. Hey, stop shooting, put the guns down, fight. Right? That's how men. I don't have a problem with people saying, "Hey, we need to fight it out," because I've had fights with my friends as a youth, and then we walked home together, and we're great friends to this day. Right? I'm okay. I understand that's how shit's solved. So I'm an exception to. I'm gonna give that an exception because I mess with that.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's funny because people will call me, like my boy sent me a picture. He's like, man, look at these chicks and, they all look the same. I'm like, I don't know near one of them. I don't know who they are. It was a little meme going around. It said, y'all telling us, y'all treat us differently, but all y'all look the same. And it was like 5 sisters up there, right? I'm assuming they're artists, but I don't know none of them. Not by face. It was another one going around where he sent me some. It was talking about one of the basketball. I don't know what that is, bro. I don't support that shit. Like I'm so far out of the media that people are like, I mean, you don't know what's going on in the world. Like I do. I just don't know what's going on in the media and on TV.
Or
Right.
don't even care,
Well,
right?
right. I have no desire to know.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
Google it. Right. The only time I'm gonna look somebody up is when somebody's telling me something. And I feel like, well, I need more information because I don't like to just take one person's opinion
Right.
of something I know
Right.
nothing about.
Right.
So, when who was it? I can't remember somebody. Oh, I think it's Tasha K is her name or something. I had to look her up because somebody was telling me something about her. I'm like, I don't know who that is, right? Or Ebony K, maybe that was Ebony. I don't know. It's somebody, right? Obviously, I still don't know
It
because I
all
don't know.
sounds familiar for real.
Right? But I'm just like, man, we involve ourselves in so much that doesn't benefit us. Now,
Yeah.
I will say, I'm noticing more beef between folks in our culture than ever before. And I'm men and women primarily, right? There's a
Mhm.
gender war going on a little bit right now, but it's nowhere near like you said.
Right.
I've never seen my wife, her mom, her sister. No, she don't got a sister, but her cousins, nobody in her family, no group of her friends, coworkers ever collectively say their men ain't shit. They can do without them. This and the other. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
me and one of my guys go round and round because he's like, man, feminism. This is his words. Feminism ruined black women. I said, no, I'm gonna disagree because feminism it's out there for everybody. We pick it up just like we pick up any other thing that's necessarily not a
Okay.
necessarily positive trend,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I
Yes,
get what you're
it
saying.
affected us more, but
But we bought into it.
we bought into it.
And you know what? And for that, I do have to hold if we because we have to hold somebody at the pinnacle of accountability, and it is a reflection of or the lack thereof leadership from us as the men, the patriarchs. We don't have strong patriarchs in
Mhm.
this culture. Even the people that we look up to, the men that we look up to as like successful in our culture, like they are not responsible. To me, they don't deserve to wear why do we do that? Like why
Right.
when we on this level have the most influence and impact, but we give our power away.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? We allow our children to pursue things that we know that the likelihood of them being successful in that is slim to none,
Yep.
right? But we live vicariously through our children so much, and then we're trying to compensate. You know what we do? We do a lot of trauma bonding.
Man, no doubt.
Do a lot of trauma bonding. We'll let our children sell us back our own trauma. Like I mean, adults that are in a similar age range as you and I literally watch what's them two that the guy and the girl, a blue face and
Right. Right. I only know who they. I met. I shouldn't say met. I was introduced to Blueface and something like that.
Krishan,
So I was introduced
right?
to
But
them
I'm
last year,
saying
bro.
it's adults that follow that whole thing, and I'm like, they are clearly just selling it back. They're packaging it and selling it back to you. So I'm like, and they're doing what young people who didn't have the right leadership would do,
100%.
right? So it's nothing personal to them, but I'm just saying that once again, we reduce ourselves. That's why we can't have these conversations. That's why if you post something, just a question, like a woman said this, and this is a question, and then you actually say it like when you articulate it or what's the word, decode it for lack of better words, it triggers people
Hmm.
to the point where they want to call you and confront you with that. But why not just call and just like why don't we make that a part of our normal lives, calling each other, having real conversations? Because
Hmm.
we're provoked by the trauma that we won't address. We won't address our trauma internally, and
Yeah.
we rather project it.
You know, I mentioned something to somebody recently, like, hey, therapy is not a bad thing. And up until I posted something today, my wife and I have a marriage therapist, and we meet with her individually and collectively. And we've had her
How
for
long
a
y'all been
while,
doing that?
probably about a year, something like that.
Okay.
Um,
What was the reason that you added that in the equation? If you don't mind me
Just
asking.
no, I don't, because I feel like we're great, but I want to be better. I want to talk to somebody about the things that may have happened in my life that may not be necessarily impacting my my goals or my life, but anything that makes me better makes my unit better, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And vice versa for my wife, right? I want her to have um, an outlet to talk to somebody if there's something she's uncomfortable with. But what my counselor said in the very beginning is everybody should have one. Just because you don't have to have something wrong to have somebody to talk to, right? It's a benefit to, to who we are. Like the conversations that I have with my therapist, a lot of the shit my wife already know, right? But I can talk to her. The very first question to her was, "Hey, is this confidential? And what do I have to? What has to be said for this to go outside of this room?" She's like, "You admit you killed somebody, I gotta call somebody, right?" I'm like, "I know, we cool then, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Bro, she knows a lot. No names, no dates, but she knows a lot of the things I've done. Uh, growing up, and I actually had a conversation with her, right? And I'll be real, she's a white female, right? And I did that intentionally because at this point in my life, that's who I'm most comfortable talking to because that's what I have as a wife,
That's
right?
interesting.
It is because okay, and I'm gonna touch on why, and I'll get back to that conversation. Uh, it's in my experience, women of our hue, not all, not even the majority, but I don't know what that number is. A lot of them have an issue, right? Not when they see me with a white girl, but when they see I'm successful and have a white girl, right? Then it becomes, oh, she got one of our good ones, ignoring the whole fact that the struggle we went through. Like, if I showed you the picture, our first spot was Beacon Heights, right? But that doesn't matter to somebody who's at the finish line,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want to make sure the person I'm talking to is not going to immediately form an opinion. And I'm not saying the majority would, or even, but I wanted to reduce the
Yeah,
possibility,
I understand.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of my conversations are white ladies specific. Prime example, right? And I'll touch on, and my wife's fully aware of the story. I was in Bar Louie. We had I don't remember if it was like a high school reunion type of after party, but it was a bunch of us from school and with one of my guys, and we're walking Bar Louie. One of my things I used to do whenever I go in a crowd, or I go to a place, I don't hang out in areas where I can potentially benefit from a business perspective. So my first move, let me walk around and see what kind of people I can network with, might be of value to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just my move. I get my wife settled, we sit down, whatever, get our drinks, and I'm gonna do a quick round. See if there's somebody I know, somebody I need to network with, whatever. So I'm walking with my guy and I see this chick and she looks at me, bro. And I told him, hey, I didn't do whatever she about to accuse me of doing. The look in her face looked like she's about to scream something and call law, right? And I'm telling my guy, I was like, bro, I never seen this chick before. Cause he even looked at me like, bro, what you do? I'm like, I don't know, but I didn't do it. And the bar Louis that used to be the old one in Mishawaka, the bar was a U shape. So when I caught that, I'm 25 feet away from her and I'm looking at her and I'm like, this ain't cool. So I go the other way. When we went the other way, she went the other way too. So I'm like, man, this is about to be. I gotta know. That's one thing of who I am. I have to know what you know about me, what you about to say about me. I don't want to let somebody make up a narrative and I don't have nothing to say. So I'm walking up with all intent of being accused of something I've never done. And the chick said to me, and I bullshit you not, she's like, I've always wanted to have a sex with a black man, and I would love it to be you. I'm like, you picked the wrong one, fam. I said, but my boy will smash anything, right? Because that's who he is. She was like, no, it's just something about you. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. And so I had that conversation with my therapist. But here's the part that's crazy. That has happened to me no less than 10 times in my life, which is insane, right? So my therapist allows me to talk to her about things that might be something she can relate to or understand or potentially, right? So who she is and her culture, that was all part of why we picked her.
Right. So I mean, that was, but was those all those times were they all
100%,
white
every one
women?
of them white, 100%.
So
I,
what
I
was did she offer explanation for
no,
that?
she just listening, bro. Hey, like it doesn't make sense to me, and it's never, it's always this initial look. I took a job one time. And during the introduction, being walked around by the controller of the company. He introduced me to a lady. And she did the same shit, bro. She had that look, and it scared me. He said, "You guys know each other?" I'm like, "Nah, I never seen her." Like, I go to defensive first, right? Which sucks because if I get accused of something, it's gonna look bad. I don't know who this is, right? And it took her a while to actually get to the point where she was comfortable enough to say something. But it's always been white females.
Is your wife aware of that?
Yeah, my wife's aware of the majority of my own feeling. Bro, we were at a hotel in Rosemont, Illinois. This is like probably 2020. We're at the bar. I drink a Bacardi and tea. Right, the bar doesn't sell tea. The front desk does. So I go to the front desk to get my tea. Come back to the bar and mix it. That's what I do. I go to the front to get a tea. You got to reach in a little bucket thing. I reach in the bucket and the lady leans over next to me. She's like, "I'm in room 215. Come up." Right, I'm like, that shit sounds amazing, but I'm cool on it. Right, I'm like, hey, unless my wife come, just what I'm saying, kind of bullshitting around. But and the crazy part is, we were in room 230. We were in the room next door, just purely coincidental. But I went to my wife. I'm like, you ain't gonna believe this shit, but it happens. Right, so
what's her response to it?
She don't really make a big, I'm back with her, so that's all that matters. She always look to see who it was, right? If we out together, but it's not a problem because I'm not. She knows it's not going down, right? But that's weird, bro. Like, man, this is so many crazy stories like that just don't make any sense. Like, it's just crazy, bro. I don't know, and I even told my therapist, I said, man, I don't know if I just look like a piece of shit. That was my exact words to her. I don't know if I just look like a piece, because I always keep my ring on. It ain't like I'm hiding the shit, right? I'm just like, I don't know if I look like a piece of shit or what. She started cracking up. I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's some shit that happens to me doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I don't. But I mean, if there could be different explanations for each different scenario, right?
Right.
But I mean, for me, I always go back to bias for me, right? And so, how they portray us in media is that we have this weakness when it comes to white women, right? So in at least one of those scenarios, it could very well be that she just wanted to test that. And then they also have their
right. They have their desires. And,
you know what I mean? That's just human,
Right.
But I'm saying, like, that's just my thought. It always comes back to perception, because a person is going to approach you. Some of it's based off of the energy that you give, but most of it's based off what their perception of.
Hold on, though. Let me throw a wrench in this one real quick. So we had a new year. So I had started a job working at an IT consulting company. It's back in like 2006, something like that. I started working like September. We had a Christmas party. Obviously, it was like the week of Christmas, and I had that week I was riding with a couple different dudes. Going to customers. Back then, it was before the remote shit. You had to go on site. So I'm riding with one of the dudes, and the man says to me, he's like, hey, man, my wife is talking about threesome, man. What do you know about threesome? I'm like, bro, I don't even know you. Right? I'm like, why would you, why did you, I said, why would you even say that to me? Like, no disrespect. I'm not mad at you. We're going to have a conversation, but why do you feel comfortable enough to say that to me? Bro was like, well, man, you're a black dude, and I know y'all good at sex, and y'all know a lot about sex. And I'm like, that's a stereotype that's put out there. And I think that has a lot to do with why a lot of racism exists, because people are insecure on the other side. But then, bro, I had a second dude, same company I'm riding with, and he's like, man, can I ask you something? And bro, whenever I'm around somebody, especially a white dude that says that I barely know, I know what's coming. Right? It's a black question. I don't know what it's gonna be. He's like, man, my wife says I'm not doing enough in the bedroom. What's some ideas? What kind of ideas you have? What can you give me some advice? I'm like, my same question. Why would you ask me that? I barely know you. He's like, man, you're a black dude. I know y'all know, right? And that's just the stereotype,
Yeah,
right?
That's not a monkey wrench. That was actually
right,
supporting what I was saying. That's what
right. But so here's where I'm going with it, because like we hear about this, like you said, some of them might just hear about it and want to see if we're gonna do it. So the first guy asked about the threesome, right? I don't know his wife. He was a big nerdy dude, right? Like a dork, super pocket protector, typical nerd. So the Christmas party, he comes in with his wife, and bro, she's a 10 everywhere, right? Like everywhere. I don't care what state you in, she's a 10.
It's just the one the
The
threesome
threesome one,
done?
right?
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
like, when she came in, everybody's like, dude, that's his wife, right? No big deal, right? I respect you. Hey, good pool, fam, right? I respect it. So we sit down because we're friends. We sit down, we introduce the wives, everybody's chilling, whatever. We all cool. So we're having a New Year's party at the crib the following week. So I tell the guys, hey man, you guys are welcome to the New Year's party. I'm gonna be real with you, y'all. It'll be you, my wife, and your wife will be probably the only white people at the party. Don't mean nothing, but I'm gonna give you a heads up because it's the exact opposite of everywhere you've ever been. So, he said, "Oh man, well, we'll think about it." And that, next week came. They showed up at the party. First hour and a half, 2 hours, shit, they stuck to my wife like a shadow, right? I ain't mad at you because when I go into an all white event and it's a black dude, we usually link up, right? You know what I'm saying? It's natural. And a couple hours go by, everybody's relaxed. She's chill, they chilling. The way we still parties, we had a party, and our kids were never here, so we had a party on the basement and the main floor. Basement was where the music was and the drinks, and then the main floor had some light music and food. Um, anyway, long story short, one of my guys who wasn't really my homie at the time, I had just met him a few weeks ago, a few weeks before that. He came up. He said, "Hey man, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "What's going on?" He pulled me to the side. He said, "Hey man, your boy's wife, the white chick," he said, "she's downstairs in a room full of brothers saying how she always want to sleep with a black man." He said, "You got to come get her because these dudes finna try her." Right? She's a dime everywhere. Right? So I go down there and get her. I'm like, man, you intoxicated. Let's just get you back to your
Okay,
husband.
rewind for a second. When he was saying she's talking about threesome, did he think she was talking about another woman, or it was always another?
I have no idea. Right? I
Okay,
just assumed it
okay,
was a dude because he was
okay.
telling me about it. Right? But I never confirmed because I'm like, that wasn't on the radar.
You're right, but okay,
Right. Now, obviously, knowing that, it became something more. Right. I figured at that point, okay, bro, she's probably asking about some shit. So I went and got her and I pull her up. I bring her back into the living room. I tell my wife what's going on. I'm like, hey, keep an eye on her because listen, bro, my homies is my homies. The fact that, bro, he even told me later because me and him got super cool. He said, man, bro, the only reason we ain't break her down like that, he said, man, I barely knew you. Right. He said, if I knew you like I know you now, I would have came and told you what we did down there. Right. But respect. Um, so we said her, she's drinking and she's having a good time. But I'm like, all right. So as the night starts to settle, they chilling. They live not too far from us. So everybody's starting to fizzle out. They sitting there chilling. I'm like, okay, whatever. So my wife is very, very, me and my wife are very affectionate. I like freaky, crazy shit, but she's always, if I'm next to her, she's holding my hand, she's rubbing my leg, whatever. So it's just the four of us. Now everybody's gone. We shutting it down. They get ready to go. And my wife, we're just, and we're all talking. Me, my wife, and my guys talking. We're on one couch. They're across on a different couch. We're just talking. I'm talking to him, right? He's talking. We're having a conversation. My wife's rubbing her hand on my leg, right, bro? I look at his wife, and I kind of tap my wife. Every time my wife's hand went up my arm or my leg, she would breathe in. Every time it went down, she would breathe out. I mean, she over there, hot and heavy, and I'm like, okay, stop with the hand leg. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to get, you gotta get y'all right. Let's get y'all home. It's getting late. She was just like, and she said, I just love the way your skin looks and the way, she just go. And I'm like, all right, so we shut it down, right? Okay, she gotta go. She was gone. Long story short, bro was a really good dude. He was helping out some cats who were in the system, right? He hired a brother to do yard work and stuff as part of the church. Man, bro, she ran off. I mean, I say dude was financially swell. She ran off with dude with the yard man who just came out the joint, ended up living in a trailer park, with dude and his mom, right? The dude she left her husband were crazy. They had kids too, which was nuts. I mean, in a big ass crib.
that's
Um,
crazy.
it's crazy, bro. So I said all of that to say it ain't necessarily that they heard about us and they want to. Some bro, it's for a lot of them, it's in there, bro. Right?
What do you mean?
It's this is going to go back to one of my crazy beliefs. Back in our America's even more crazy days, black men were hung naked, right? For a reason. They don't hang you naked because you did something wrong, bro. They were trying to just kind of
Humiliate.
distort and humiliate and make sure that their women didn't want black. If you go back to the slave days, and this is why low key, sometimes I'm like, I understand racism. If I control people,
You say you
resources,
understand it.
here's why. Imagine, and this is something crazy to try to imagine. I'm putting this hypothetical out there, but imagine being a slave owner. You have all the property, you have all the money, you own the people, and you catch your wife out there getting banged voluntarily by a dude who has absolutely nothing, not including freedom. I would hate y'all too, right? That's what would go through my mind, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's what perpetuated the rate. Because even today, from a male perspective, if a man has money and and this girl cheat on him with a broke ass dude, that's gonna fuck him up.
right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, once again, I'm gonna keep on like highlighting those things that explained that my overall view, I guess, for lack of better words, on interracial relationships. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not going to make it seem like at no point was it purely based on the whole race concept, right? Because I'm
Mhm.
not going to act like I wasn't socially engineered. You know what I
We
mean?
all
I
have
had
been.
I had to grow out of that space, right? But when I ask myself like, what is it that and I don't ultimately I don't even care, right? You know what I mean? Because I only care about what I do, you know what I mean, and what affects me. But I'm saying if I have my opinion on this based on just that type of shit that you're going to that you it's like you're going to have to kind of always watch over your back when you go into spaces to because you never know what a person's issue with you is as it relates to you if you with one of their daughters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
Um, but go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing I think I've learned in 32, 33 years of interracial dating, this is very particular to being with a white. I can't speak to it in no other race, no other color, right? No other hue. Um, when they don't like you, is the ones that are willing and able to create a problem are open and upfront. You ain't got a guess, got a Confederate flag, right? It's easy to tell. The ones that have always been scary to me are the ones that do shit in the background,
That's what I'm talking
right?
about.
The bosses,
That's
the right.
yes.
So to feed your point, I worked for a company. This was back in '99. I had no choice but to take the job. I worked for a different company. We all went to work that Friday on payday, and the doors was closed and locked. Right. So I had kids. So I'm like, okay, first job I take, mind you, was 1999. I find this job. They said 35,000 starting. Cool. Back then, that was not the worst money for a man who was young, right? Um, so I apply for the job. I have all the skill set. I get the job, but when he offered me the job, he says, "I'm going to pay you 33.5." I'm like, well, that's strange. I said the literal ad that I'm holding says 35,000. He was like, yeah, you get that after you earn it after 90 days. Okay, I mean, I'm in the point where I need the job, right? But I already know what this is. So I'm not going to pretend I don't know what this is, right? Is what I'm telling myself. I have this company, I was a consultant, but I traveled around. I was in the office every other Monday, right? So say Monday I'm there, the next Monday I'm not, the following Monday I'm there. Um, the first couple of days I worked in the office to get kind of accustomed to everything, and they start sending me to clients. So every other Monday I'm in the office. The first Monday that I'm in the office after I started visiting clients, I'm in the office. It's like 11:45. They're like, okay, we're going to lunch. Cool, where we're going? It's like, oh no, we're all going. Mind you, everybody in the company came back that Monday. That's how we did, billing and meetings. He's like, oh no, we're all going. You have to stay here and answer the phone.
Hmm.
Okay, I understand that you have to, right? Phones have to be answered. I understand it, right? I'm a new guy. That's how I look at it, but I know it's a little shady. I'm also the
Mhm.
one to look like me. So a couple more Mondays go by, and every time this happens, it's like, hey, you got to stay here. I'm like, well, hey, you know what? The phones don't ring. So one day I called the phone at lunch. It goes to a voicemail, right? Hey, we're all at lunch, blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, so this is some bullshit. So now I've
Right.
solidified my belief. So I have a desk there, but I don't have no pictures. I told my wife, ain't no way I'm putting up a picture. And I used to get a call like every day from my direct manager at I don't know what every time I was at a client anyway. He would call me at like noon. Hey, how's everything going? And at first I thought he was checking in, right? This is the days before, we had email, but it wasn't jumping. Like so we did a lot more phone communication. One day I asked him, his name was Steve. I said, Steve, why do you call me every day at the same time? This motherfucker told me, I just want to make sure you're not at home sleeping. I said, do you call anybody else to make sure they're not at home sleeping? Right? He was like, no, I just call you. I said, you do understand we built this company $100 an hour for me to be here. Do you think they would let me turn in these invoices if I wasn't here? Yeah, I know, but I just want to make sure. So for me, that was the deciding factor right then, right? I'm okay, this dude is serious. So I gotta find something else. As time, a couple weeks went by, um, we had a Christmas party. They have no idea who my wife is. At this point, I got another job lined up, right? So yeah, we're going to the Christmas party, the show, because I'm going to
Going
start
out
some
with a
shit.
bang. Yeah.
So it was in the basement of this restaurant. I'm coming down the steps. my wife, I had her 2 steps behind me. I'm coming down the steps. I see the owner of the company, right? Dude kind of smiles and give me a fake wave. About halfway through, my wife is 2 steps behind me. I grab her hand. Bro turned bright red immediately. Right now, my judge just got there. He turned bright red, and he's being a dickhead to the staff. And one of the staff members said, "I don't know what just happened. He was so nice. Now he's mean to everybody." So I know what the game is. Bro was bright red the whole time. So we ate that free goddamn dinner, right? Didn't stay long. I knew what was going down, right? So we got up out of there, and I changed jobs. But dude was like, that for me was the kind of shit that I knew this dude was gonna blackball me at some point. If I'm with this dude, he's gonna talk bad about me because mentally he sees me as inferior no matter what. I was more intelligent than the other team members because there was only 2 of us that did the type of work that I did. And every time I went to a customer, they would prefer that I come back versus the other dude. Right? It's like he just knows more, so we want to deal with him. So, but it was crazy, bro, because he just like the whole crew was that way. Oh, I left out a major part. I left out, man. I'm gonna circle back and I'm gonna dump it. Every other Monday I went into the office, right? So on my off Monday that I did not go into the office, that Wednesday somebody stole a watch out of the office. I got a call Thursday and it was like, "Hey man, we need you to come in the office." I'm like, "That's strange. I'm supposed to come in Monday, right? It's a decent little drive. It was in Goshen. I live in South Bend. All of our customers are in South Bend." He's like, "Yeah, we got an issue." So I'm like, "All right, let me, I ain't thinking, I already know I'm working for some racist cats, but I ain't thinking nothing major." When I get to the spot, they grilling me about a watch. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? I said, "Well, let's do this. When did the watch come up missing?" He was like, "Well, it came up missing yesterday." I'm like, "Dude, I haven't been here in 10 days. Right? He's like, "Yeah, I know, but we just wanted to ask you in person." I said, "Bro, that shit was crazy." So for me, it's the ones that like, there's the ones who are upfront and ain't hiding shit, but it's the scary to me. The scary part of racism is the people who have control of your life on the back end, right? Your promotions or your termination, this, that, and the other. I'm not, but again, I'm in a relationship, so I can't worry about who's gonna be out in the streets. And I see I gotta deal with the situation that I put myself into.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it's worth the fight because the person I'm with makes it worth the fight. But I do tell my guys, if you are 35 or older, this is probably not a good time to start an interracial relationship. There's too much going on. Whoever you're going to date is already ingrained in her family's ways. If her daddy's a racist, she knows it and she still loves him. Right? If her grandfather or her uncle or whatever, at that age, you're past it's me or the family. Right? It's always gonna be the family. For me, I tell people, I tell black men specifically, men of our hue specifically, think hard and long on that. As long as you don't care about family dynamic, you might be okay. If she don't fool with her family, you might be okay. And this is risky because I'm not saying the majority of anybody's anyway, but the risk, it's like going into certain sides of town in Chicago at certain times of day. That don't mean something gonna happen to you, but the risk is greater.
Yeah, and that's what scares me so much about. I ain't gonna say scare me, but that's what's stressing me about my son's situation because I have no clue still. Like I don't. It's like because it's all going to be contingent upon who these people are, and then because I can almost assure you that the version of them that my son and his mom may have, that ain't the real version. You finna get the real version now. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And
Right. It's all
so
fun and games until
right. But I'm not I don't I don't make assumptions, but I'm just saying even children or these type of life events they bring about the reality of every reality of every situation.
yeah, you have to like you didn't get the luxury yet of meeting the parent. I'm gonna tell you a short story and then we'll wrap it up because we're hitting our 2 hour mark. I met my wife's father in a manner no man wants to meet his girlfriend's dad. Right? We were at a hotel having a little party. No weird shit. It was early. Right? We were at a hotel. It was me, her, and some of her friends. My guys were supposed to come out. We had one chick that nobody really liked. Right? That she wanted to party. We wouldn't tell her where we were at, so she called everybody's parents and told them, "Hey, there's a party going on. There's drugs, alcohol, and sex. So you bro, if you get that call as a parent, you on your way." Right? Somebody's parent or she did call the police. So the police got there first. They knock on the door, open the door. There's alcohol in the room. There's somebody that's 21. He was 24, something like that, but it's unopened. So everybody's straight. It was early, right? So, but they got everybody calling their parents. when my wife's like, "Oh, my dad's pulling up, bro." I went straight to the shower and stood in the shower, fully dressed, closed the door, bro. He came in, walked past everybody, went straight to the bathroom and slid the thing. He was like, "You want me to give you a ride home?" I was like, "No, sir, I do not. But thank you for the offer." Right? That's how I met her father.
How did he know you were there?
Man, because he's a man, right? He's a man, and he, you know what I'm saying? He knew his daughter was dating somebody, and it's a hotel. I would, in hindsight, bro, I would probably do the same. I'm going to look.
Yeah. Did he
He
not?
didn't
Did
know
he?
I was
Did,
there,
did he
right?
not? He probably knew you. Did he? But he didn't know you were.
Yeah, he knew everything, right?
Oh,
Because I
he
called the
already knew.
house, right? Back then you had house phones, so I
Yeah.
got to
So he
ask for you,
knew. Yeah. He
right?
knew. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, bro, that right there, again, different man of a different hue. I'm at a hotel with his daughter. This is all bad. This man's gonna hate me forever. He did not. He has been great with us and me the whole time, right?
Who was the issue? You said the issue was with some of her relatives, right?
So on her mom's side, she had some issues with her uncles, right?
Right.
That's where the problem was. But it was never an issue for us. Is once it happened, she cut them off. But you know, my father-in-law taught me how taught me how to and sold me my first motorcycle. Right, taught me how to ride it, sold it to me. He's been on the team ever. He's a super cool dude, right?
How did the what's her name go? What was the
Was
energy? The baby shower. What was the energy? Because
Oh,
the
great.
family.
Yeah, it's all great, right? Because
Right.
everybody, like I said, my daughter's, for those that don't know, my daughter's married to a white guy. My son-in-law's a white man, love him to death. He has the majority of his friends are Mexican dudes. So we have a lot of Mexican folk in there, a lot of white folk, a lot of black folk.
Mhm.
Everybody getting along, everybody good. There's no issue. The families are there's no beef, right? It's a blessing, right? Because it could be bad,
Mhm.
right? It could be real bad, but it isn't, and that's a blessing, man. You know, so I know we reached that time, man, and I greatly appreciate you joining me.
Oh man, no doubt.
We definitely got to do this again, man.
Absolutely.
This one was hot.